Ready too is the superlight Lotus, which Colin Chapman has designed around a modified Ford engine, and which Jimmy Clark, world champion, will drive. Some say this English Lotus is the future of 500 racing.
Well, the Lotus here, the green Lotus, really came to Indianapolis in 1964 with Jimmy Clark and Lotus with a factory-backed Ford sponsorship.
The car was driven by Jimmy Clark to the pole position in 1964.
Mr. James Clark, Jr. of Scotland, has broken the new track record on lap number 2, 159.377.
They set on the pole with the fastest qualified. Jimmy did.
The front row is set. Clark, Marshman, Ward. The pace car pulls off the track into the pits, and the race is on. Clark shifts into high gear and jumps into the lead. Parnelli Jones inside second row charges right after him.
Anyway, the left rear suspension broke during the race.
They were using Dunlop tires versus the Firestone tires that they had used the year previous.
Jim Clark takes over first place. Clark has a 6-second lead over Jones and Foyt.
And unfortunately, the left rear tire threw a tread.
Something's wrong. Clark is scraping along with his rear wheels splayed out.
The tread was too thick, built up a lot of heat.
His rear suspension gave way and collapsed.
The thread flew off, broke the suspension, so Jimmy was out of the race.
So after the race was over, they asked me to drive the car Ford because I was pretty much contracted with Ford as well. And they asked me to drive it in Milwaukee, in which I did. And I went up and set a new track record and won the race with it. I drove another Lotus just like it. It was a Dan Gurney car. Jimmy Clark wanted his, and I went over and won the race with it. And so after that race was over, Ford turned around and gave me this car. And we painted it a different color and took it there. And of course, Jimmy Clark won in a new car in 1965, and I fortunately finished second with this car by a prayer. Anyway, another story. But after that, I also went and took it back to Milwaukee and won again with it.
The car was badly damaged in a accident at Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and it was ended up on top of another car, and it was bent like a banana, and it was also a big fire, and a lot of the instruments and things were ruined. One time when one of the guys, the shop foreman, was cleaning out the shop, he decided that thing had to go, so he put it in the dumpster. And somehow somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody came along and said, "What are you doing putting that in the dumpster? We got to save that car." Well, anyway, out it came in the dumpster. It was put upstairs and was stored for 25 years. Vell decided that it was time to start restoring some cars. So that was the first car that we did a full-on restoration. Obviously, all the credit has to go to Vell for that, because I guarantee if it was my choice, I would have thrown that thing out 30 years ago, but it shows you what I know.
He took me around his museum in Torrance, and then he let me sit in his Jimmy Clark car, which was really special. And then he couldn't get me out of it. I just sat in there forever. A really special night to do that with such a legend, and to see his cars and everything he's done and achieved, and he's so humble about it. But he's Parnelli Jones. He's a legend. From then on, every time I see him, we have a good chat, and he's the nicest guy. I wouldn't have wanted to race against him, mind you, but he is the nicest guy.
So it has a great history and a great feeling. Built very light, very fragile, and probably why the suspension broke.
It's a piece of history because it was driven by two of the greatest race drivers in the world, Jimmy Clark and Parnelli Jones.